Every problem in the world is not a prayer problem. Every problem in the world is a wisdom problem. Now, prayer is very important because prayer keeps you in tune with the Holy One. When you have wisdom and you are not connected to the Holy One, your wisdom can become foolish. You can be very wise, but wise people, if you are wise and you don't know what the king needs, what you apply could be wrong. So there is a man of God and there's a man from God. A man from God used to be with God and is no more with God. In the Bible, those who stay long with God are those who still sat at the feet of God despite their wisdom. Wisdom can be seen in your dress code. Wisdom can be seen in the way you speak. Now, speaking Proverbs doesn't mean you are wise. My sports was in James chapter 2, 25 and 26 in the Message Bible. So let's go to the sports scripture. Then I'll give you my address scripture. Then we can begin to move. James 2, 25 and 26 in the Message Bible. He said, the same with Rahab, the Jericho harlot. Wasn't her actions in hiding God's spies and helping them escape that seamless unity of believing and doing? What accounted with God? The very moment you separate body and spirit, end up with a corpse. The very moment you separate body and spirit, you end up with a corpse. Separate faith and works, and you get the same thing, a corpse. So I'm teaching that a believer who says he has faith without action is dead. And the writer of James said, a person who only believes, I believe in you, man of God. I believe in the ministry. And you don't take physical action. I believe a man will tell a woman, I believe you're a very good woman. You are such a marriageable material. Why are you not proposing? Is it because you don't believe? So the belief must be followed with certain action. Now let's look at my storyline for today, which is the book of Ecclesiastes chapter 9, 13 through 16. Here is a bit of wisdom. Here is a bit of wisdom that has impressed me as I have watched the way our world works. There was a small town with only a few people, and a great king came with his army and besieged it. Wonderful. A poor, know the word, two words you play with. A poor, wise man. A poor, wise man knew how to save the town. And so it was rescued. But afterward, no one thought to thank him. So even though wisdom is better than strength, those who are wise will be despised if they are poor. What they say will not be appreciated for long. Now let's read another scripture. Proverbs 9:10. Proverbs 9:10. Fear of the Lord is the foundation of wisdom. Knowledge of the Holy One results in good judgment. Other versions will say, the fear of the Holy One leads to understanding. Other versions will say, the fear of the Holy One leads to great discernment or strong discernment. Now, let's look at this thing carefully. Every problem in the world is not a prayer problem. Every problem in the world is a wisdom problem. I got you there. Prayer is to build a relationship with you and God. For God to give you answers. Now, a lot of the times we talk to most believers, they believe that the answers God gives us is physical. So, God, I need money. Then God will say, take money. Yet there are cases where you hear people say, I prayed to God, I needed money, and somebody came and gave me money. It happens. I prayed to God, I needed a child, and I got a baby. I prayed to God, I needed this, and I got this. It's very true. But every problem in the world is a wisdom problem. What did I say? Okay. Now, how many of you believe that there are some people who don't pray, but they make it? So, in this scripture, let me address this one first. You see that the fear of the Lord is the foundation of the wisdom. The word fear is not talking about seeing somebody and running away. It's talking about reverential fear. I've realized that, I don't know whether you've seen this in the Bible. In the Bible, God spoke to people. And there was, or said, God, please, you are talking to me, I'm too shy. Most often, they had the audacity to speak. So Abraham would talk to God. Moses would talk to God. Enoch talked, he didn't come back. Adam, even in sin, was speaking to God. Satan spoke to God. So sometimes you believe that if I meet God, I can't talk. Now, God can ask you a question that you can't speak. Now, prayer is very important because prayer keeps you in tune with the Holy One. Are you here with me? Now, because you see, when you have wisdom and you are not connected to the Holy One, your wisdom can become foolish. I think you are lost here. I told you about an encounter I had. Yes, I was having this nice meeting or Bible study with my family, and I was teaching them this, that I had an encounter with this wonderful man of God who was teaching me about the new move of God and how many will die prematurely and how others will be sustained to live on. And I taught her some of the keys that gives longevity. And one of them is this Proverbs chapter 9, verse 10. Because see, you can be very wise, but wise people, if you are wise and you don't know what the king needs, what you apply could be wrong. So there is a man of God and there's a man from God. A man from God used to be with God and is no more with God. In the Bible, those who stayed long, I'm giving one of the keys I have. Those who stayed long with God are those who still sat at the feet of God despite their wisdom, despite their resources, despite their fame, despite their popularity. Sometimes people feel like, I've gotten it, so I don't need to sit down again. So if you look at Mary and Martha, they are two sisters. But you can always talk about Mary more than Martha. Why? Because even when Jesus was about to go to show his body to Christ, to God in heaven, and Mary was troubled, Jesus said, let me cut my journey short and make sure this lady is okay. Let me attend to her before I go to heaven. When I go, I'll tell her not to hug me so that the anointing will depreciate. I need to go whole. Look at another person who stayed long, like John, the Revelator, the one who wrote the book of Revelations. Now, if you look at this, you realize that longevity has to do with people who stay under the feet of their master. Now, the problem in most people is that we have become a generation of Christians of give me, and when we get it, we go. There are people who are more even interested in the work of God than the God of the work. So it's like they are more interested in, I've been told to do this, so I'm doing, that's why I can't pray. I've been told to do this, that is why I can't spend time with God. But you see, God needs you at his feet because at the right time, he will teach you when to apply certain knowledge. So if you read the story of Jesus very well, you see that when Jesus was born, I've gone through this before, so I don't want to go there. He was ready to shoot in ministry. So if you look at Luke chapter 12, he was ready to shoot in ministry, but something interesting happened. Let's look at from verse 50. Even though he was ready to shoot and move on in ministry, something tremendous that happened was that his parents went in and they stopped him from staying in the temple. Now, if you look at the Bible critically, you realize that one of the signs, and I teach you this, one of the signs of great people is that they always have a quest to know more. A person who sits at the feet of his master wants to know more. So this is Jesus. He goes to the temple. He's teaching and asking the scribes, the Sadducees, the big people questions. And they were answering him. And they were astounded at the level of questions he was asking. Only for the parents to come in and say, we've been looking for you for 3 days. And Jesus' reply was that, don't you know have to be my father's business? And then the biological or the physical father takes Jesus from the place. And the Bible said, and they did not understand the saying which he spoke unto them. Which saying was that, I'm zealous, I'm passionate. And that's what kills many people, the zeal. If you look at the Bible, one of the things that destroyed the ministry of Saul is zeal. Zeal without knowledge will kill you faster. I know. They understood not the saying which he spoke unto them. Then look at the next one. Then he went home and was subject to them, and he went down with them. I like the word down, because you see, sometimes sitting at the feet of someone, it looks like it's a downward trend. He sat down with them and came to Nazareth and was subject unto them, but his mother kept all these sayings. Change to 52. He went down and was subject to them. Now listen to this thing carefully. Now Jesus spent 18 years of his life being taught and used 3.5 years to change the world. Now, even with that, Jesus spent a lot of time praying. The Bible many times read, a great while before day, he got up and left the disciples to go and pray. Even at Lazarus' funeral, when he got, he said, I would not have prayed, but for the sake of these people, I thank you that you have heard me. He was somebody who was always in prayer. And he didn't want people to say things like, he doesn't even pray, he gets results. So he said, Lord, I thank you that you always hear me. Now, those 18 years, see, we have a generation that want to spend more time physically getting results than more time being prepared for opportunities. So we think like sitting at the feet of God is a waste of time. But rather, that is how you get into speed. It's like a student who decides to go to the university whilst his colleagues are spending on the roadside selling and making 1 CD, 2 CDs, 50 CDs a day. And you spend time going to the university for 5 years, and it's like you are even begging to eat for 5 years, and your colleague says, you are poor, you are useless. So you know very well that when you graduate from the school, you don't need to be on the street. Let me give you a new design that has come for our young ladies who are beautiful, intelligent, smart, and are single. They dress very well and put on a nice makeup, nice this thing, and then they go to stand on the street, not for prostitution, and they are selling achomo, ice cream cake. And this big man will drive past them. He say, hello, how much ice cream cake? And the lady say, it's this. And when you look at the lady talking, and you see the way the lady has been trimmed, say, excuse me, are you educated? Yes, I finished university, there's no job. The next moment, you see that the man is saying, give me your number. The next moment, the lady is no more on the street, he has a job, and is married to a big person. That is for somebody's free graduation theory. The big man just stops. Sometimes you know, the big man say, put all your things in the car. And the lady says, oh, no. I say, I'm buying all. The man doesn't need it. He doesn't need the thing. It's the person standing there, groomed and trimmed. Now, this is free wisdom. This one is better than prostitution on the street. And some people look at this person and say, wow, and you are on the street selling. Say, because I have needs to meet. But if you look at the person standing there, look, an educated person is dressing, an uneducated person dressing are not the same. You see, a person who has been trimmed and groomed, they can wear the same thing, but how they look will look different. Oh, I don't know whether you understand me. Oh, is it true? It's not true. Now, so when they took Jesus home, they kept him in the home for 18 years to groom him. Now, he comes to the earth, spent 3.5 years, change the world. Now, I said this thing before. We have a generation that spend 1 hour preaching and 10 minutes in prayer. And we are wondering why we are not changing our world. So what happened to Jesus in the behind the scenes that nobody knew what he was doing? 52 will say, and Jesus increased. Now the word increase means that wisdom is not stable. He increased in wisdom. Wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Whenever you come to a place thinking that you know it, that is the beginning of a fall. Now, I gave a 10 and somewhere didn't mind me. What's the difference between pride, proud, and arrogance? Have you realized the Bible said God resisted the proud? A proud person is some of you say it's English adjective and noun. Until you read Bible, you understand Greek, and you understand Hebrew. Somebody who is proud is somebody who doesn't have thing and poses like he is somebody. Wells without water. Are you with me? Then pride. Pride goes before a fall. Pride is somebody who has the wisdom and the knowledge and thinks that he's above everybody. Alefenoche. I know he knows even past the one who taught him. So the one who is poor doesn't need instruction. But the one who is proud needs resistance. Nobody helps you. So in my book, Harvest is I stated that the seed of rejection is pride. Pride makes people reject you. Unibi. We are trying to teach you how to make it. You even keep quiet. I remember 6 years ago, I did this. You don't need your 6 years ago mentality. That thing, keep it to yourself. Oh, please, are you here with me? And let those who have reached there educate you on what to do. Are you here? You are not here at all. So, what is the difference between pride, proud, and arrogance? Arrogance is the attitude shown. Like the body language. So somebody can be proud, full of pride. You can't tell somebody he's full of proud. But I will not show it until you see the arrogance of a dying cockroach. The person is dying, and you are trying to help the person to stay. The person rather thinks that you are troubling the person. So look at them and say, are you proud? Or you have pride? All of us can operate in this. All of us. Including me standing here. Because when you don't have, you are poor. Hey, you are proud. When you think you have, you have pride. Please, are you with me? So can I now move on? Now, so you look at Jesus. He increased in wisdom. So increase in wisdom. Now let me ask you a question. There is no problem on this earth that is not a wisdom problem. You just write all your problems down. Every problem in this world is a wisdom problem. What is wisdom? Knowing how to You can know it, but how to is different. I met a couple, this is life, 21st century, who were married, and for years they're not getting pregnant. They've done everything, they were not getting pregnant until they came to me. Then I said, did you go through counseling? They said, no. Then I said, what is sex? They explained sex, they were so nice. Only for me to realize that they were doing it in the wrong hole. Educated. And they thought it was normal. The lady was green and the man was green. They were holy. Very, very holy, but innocently holy. They needed an unbeliever to teach them that this is not how to do it. But they are pride. I mean, I don't listen to unbelievers. I don't fellowship with unbelievers. When the Bible said the Gentiles will come to your light, that I spoke about, they are unbelievers. And your kings will come to your rising. So Jesus Christ increased in what? I didn't hear you. Then the next one he increased in was in stature. What is stature? How you see yourself, your body language. How you show for the wisdom you have. Wisdom can be seen in your dress code. You didn't hear me. Wisdom can be seen in the way you speak. Now, speaking Proverbs doesn't mean you are wise. Let me give an example. There's one guy who people say he was very wise because he kept quoting Proverbs. I heard him say one day that if polish had come early, shoe would not have gotten spoiled. I said, oh, this guy is wise. He can polish the bantam and can shoe and tete. Until that wisdom can be seen in stature, you are not wise. The school you went to is in your brain. How has it affected your life and those around you? If it has not affected anything around you, actually you are proud. All the teachings you've been born again, all the teachings you've taught you, how has it affected your life? How has it helped you? Because wisdom that is in the head, that cannot be put in stature, makes you, forgive me, FOOL, without any sorry. You are a fool. I've just seen a man I've seen. I greet you. I'll tell you a story about him. Years ago, I looked for visa for years. Visa, I was not getting. Until one day, he said, give me all your old forms and let me see. And what did I put? I always put that I'm going for a visit. When he saw it, he said, you are not going for a visit. Let me work on a visit and a business visa. I went there, no question. It was given to me. My problem was not prayer. My vampire binding all the demons in the world. The thing to take, what to take on the form. Just the tick. Please, so I repeat, what to tick on the form was because when I go and they ask me, are you going to America? I say, yes. When you go, will you preach? Yes, I have 3 invitations. I'll even prove to them. I have these invitations. I'm going to preach. Everything's on social media. I'm even telling them not to give me the visa. They look at me and say, okay, here. They won't tell you. Here you say you are going to visit. But you are telling me you are going to work. It means you are deceiving us. Go home. I have prayed. You are not here at all. I have fasted. God said, I have made the way for you. Go, it is yours. Now fill the form. Being educated doesn't mean you can fill a form. Forgive. How many of you are understanding me here? Being educated, you can be very educated. But now, because he taught me to have learned. So when people are going and tell him, Master, how are you feeling your form? So let's move on. Somebody's trying to look who is the man. I will show you. No. Let's go. So Jesus Christ increased in what? Wisdom, which is a mental maturity. And when that mental maturity comes on you, it must affect your every aspect of life. It affected his stature. I like English. If you know English very well, you see that me literature. So they shall written increase in wisdom, comma, stature, comma, in favor with God, comma, in favor with man, comma, or full stop. But look at it. He increased in wisdom and stature. So this one is and stature, a boom, then comma. So wisdom that cannot be seen is nothing. So now back to our story. There was a poor wise man. Who was he? Poor wise man. And a king came to besiege the city. The first thing, we can all get attacked. No, there was nobody who didn't get attacked. Jesus had attacks. He was on the sea and there was a storm. He was crucified. But what you do in the midst of the problem shows whether you are learned, you are wise, or you are a fool. So in this poor wise man's case, when they besieged his little city, he came to the king and said, "King, I know how we can save this city." And they asked him, and after he helped them, the king and the city took his intellectual property away. And they didn't even come to him and say, "Thank you." And he still remained poor. So it's like some people say, I can teach people to be successful, but me, I am so poor. How many of you have heard people say this before? Yeah. You know why you are so poor? You are so poor because you have not the ability to use what you teach to apply to your life. The ones you teach, they can apply and relate. I think you are quiet for me. Are you here? You are not here at all. Oh, yeah. So the guy helped the city and they forgot him. Now, there are so many people whose intellectual properties people have stolen and they are using it and they are making money. I've told you this story before that years ago, I have this son, and he even called me with his family in U.S. recently. And he called me and said, he calls me, "Ulma, now, this leper's grace you've been teaching, and you also do some." I said, "Oh, I don't really need it. I'm praying that doors will open for you, and then you people will come and give your tithe and help me." Then he said, "Oh, man, I'm telling you the truth." He told me in tree. The crap I'm catching. He told me point blank that we will all not help you. So you better apply. And I started to apply it myself because I could teach people. They will come and say, "Praise the Lord, I had this testimony. Oh, I had this testimony. I had this breakthrough. I had this breakthrough." And me, I was having a breakthrough. And I was so happy for them. But I won't have time and do leper's grace. So I went to God and I started praying. God said, "Now that you apply, let me teach you. That symbol you use is just an Old Testament mentality. Can I teach you the spiritual aspect of leper's grace?" So now I operate in the spiritual aspect of leper's grace. I might not necessarily need oil. But because I applied it, I could now increase to my next level. Anytime you have not applied what you know, you are depriving yourself of the ability to increase. That's why you have so many notes in church, but you are still doing nothing for God. That's why you have so many. When you were in school, there was a book called ABBA, geography book. The people whose parents bought it, they never read. We whose parents didn't have money to buy, we will go for the book and read. My parents bought ABBA. I didn't even write geography exams. I swept that exam. You're supposed to write 8 subjects. I wrote 7. And the funny thing is that I only wrote the ones I know I will pass. And I knew that geography, even though I have the textbook, no matter what I do, I will fail. I don't even know that kind of thing. You know that. If in mass, I'm sure if it was compulsory, I would have aborted mass. But because mass was compulsory, I had to write. So I remember when I was going for my results, and they wrote mass 6. Grade science 6, I turned. And they said, you look at it. I said, no, the rest, it is 1, 1, 1, 1. And it was true. The rest, I knew that, my bon English, in your English literature. It is not economics. It is not Bakuya anything. BK. This one, I'll get 1. And the energy to learn geography, I think I was going to do maths today, geography tomorrow. And I said, I don't even study the geography at all. Because that is a non-grata. So having the textbook, having a Bible, doesn't mean that you are wise. Again, reading the Bible doesn't mean you are wise. But guess what? When I went to Sisson, I had a friend who was doing geography, and I became born again. I could dream and see topography sheet being measured with ropes, and I'll tell him, he goes to write exams, it comes to pass. Now, I was wondering, how can I dream about topography sheet, and I don't like geography? Can I tell you something worse? My housemaster was a French teacher, so I hated French. Number 2, I hated the music teacher. Now, the things I hated most are things I need today. Today, I need Google Map. You didn't hear me. When I'm traveling in a plane, one of the things I like to watch is the map. When you sit in the plane, when they say that the plane is moving at this, I love to watch it. And I wonder, is it the same person who hated geography? Now, look at me. I'm in music. I'm saying, play this key, play that key. Now, sometimes when I'm preaching that French, I want to study French. So, you see, sometimes God will give you certain things that you naturally will need. But out of being proud, I hear you are not here at all, or out of pride, you will stay at that level. I was coming early today, 6 o'clock. I said, I met a guy who used to play keyboard for me. 6 a.m. He was going to church. And I'm like, when you were here, you were coming to church at 9:10. And now, if when we talk, you complain. 6 a.m. the guy was going to church. I don't know. There's a wisdom key I need to use. 6 a.m. And I was like, I'm sure all the people who are playing keyboard for Bridge are sleeping by now. That's just by the way. So Jesus increased in wisdom. So say, look, I said, wisdom must be seen in your stature. Let me tell you, something can be very educated, right? But your makeup shows that you are not educated. The way about boo and him stature. I don't like you. Oh, I'm not like you. Even with we men of God, you can see a man of God and you can know a man of God. Me, I know I have pastors, and I know the pastors who pray. Because when a person has spent time with God, the glory smells on them. It smells on them. It's like perfume. The glory of God is like perfume. It smells. And a person who has been there for long, the person smells like sweat. No, the person who has not been there for long, like he has not come to the presence of God, like it's 3-4 months ago. When you meet the person you are interacting, it's like you see that the person is sweating, whole bone sweat. You see that there is struggle. And the one that has not been at all in the presence of God, the person smells bad. Are you sure you've got somewhere? No, you can be telling me I've been praying. And I look at you and I don't want to talk because I know this. And somebody, how do you know all this? I know this because wisdom increases. So I have people who sometimes say things like, I know FD Yalley. He will do it this way. And I laugh because I increase. The church grows because you are increasing in wisdom. Let me share something with you. Do I have time? I have a bit of time. Here are the Bible says, if anybody lacks wisdom, let him ask God that gives liberally. Now, any problem you are going through, imagine you were to ask God, God, how do I solve it? Do you know what makes us not have answers? Oh God, solve this problem for me. God, solve this problem. Anybody who solves your problem, you can't solve it yourself. And God doesn't want you to always come to him with the same problem. Because by now, you should have learned by wisdom how to come out of that problem. So that the next time you meet God, you have new questions. You are coming to God with a new level because you are increasing in wisdom. You can't come to God with yesterday's baggage. God, do this for me. God, do this for me. God, if you do this for me, I'll serve you. God, if you do this for me. God will do it. And he has done it. But you have the wisdom. Now, you ask yourself, any problem you have in this world. So here am I. Just recently, I went to God praying for a problem I'm encountering in church. And I want to summarize it. And as I prayed, I fell into a thing of a trance. And I saw a very popular newscaster, very popular. And somebody was sitting by a table, and it's like they were waiting for me. When I got there, there was food for me, and there was food for them. And I was telling them that I prepared the food for them. They will not eat the food, but I quickly ate the food. But they will not eat, and they were just washing their hands. So when I finished eating, I went to the washroom to go and wash my hands. Is there that I went and I saw that the water was not flowing very well, and the washroom, the toilet, has been broken. So I asked one of them, and who broke that? And one of them said they broke it. And I asked them, why wouldn't you eat? The guy was talking, I didn't hear. So, in the morning, I was coming from the house and I said, this guy does a morning show. Let me listen to him. Just listen to him. Then I saw this guy was interviewing somebody on the radio that he has been giving. This guy was saying that he's the one who has been given a contract to renovate the Confanoche by the Otumfuo, His Excellency. And he was a CEO. People were clapping for him, saying he's good. Then he said something that shocked me. And everybody that called said the guy is a good leader. And one person sent a message. And his reply made me understand the dream. You know what he said? The person sent a message. He said, one thing I like about this guy that everybody's talking about is that he's a leader that doesn't want to hear. He's a leader that wants to see and that wants to feel. Then there was a professor on the program. Well, the guy is a professor who said in communication, listen to this carefully, in communication, seeing gives more evaluation than hearing. So anybody who is a leader and is not there to run events will run slow because you can't just hear. I said, I'll write it down. Then the guy said something that shocked me. He said, the guy was being interviewed. It was on Peace FM. Most of you know. The guy, and I hardly listened to Peace FM. But I understood the person and their contacts and whatever. So I had to move on further because wisdom must be applied. And the guy said, one was given the job as a CEO. He was going around with some people and decided to use the washroom of the ordinary people at the hospital. When he got there, he walked back. Then he said something. What I hate most is when you are a leader and you can't use the common washroom. If you can't use the common washroom, what it means is that you have failed as a leader. So I asked myself, can I use the washroom down there? Oh, are you here? You are not here at all. Now, have I received a wisdom? Have I seen it? And I've had a lot of visions of this washroom issue. I don't want to go inside. Someone said, where is the washroom? We have ordered for the twins. There's a stronghold that has kept it at. They said it's on the sea. It's on the sea. And I say it has arrived. So I came to the office straight away, and here am I. When is the washroom going to be fitted? Whilst you are waiting for, let's get this thing done. And somebody wouldn't understand why I'm aggressive for the washrooms to be done. Because you've been quiet. Why are you all of a sudden? I have received wisdom. And wisdom, my mom taught me this. My mom said, wisdom without application is equal to frustration. Right? Wisdom that is not applied will lead you to frustration. A lot of us who are frustrated, trying to commit suicide, worried in life is because we know, but we don't understand why we are not making it. Is it true or is it not true? We know we have everything it takes. But how do I use this? Listen, how can a crippled man command his legs to walk and the legs are not walking? The man is crippled. How can I think it, teach others, and I sometimes get worried. I can teach others what to do in their life, in their ministry, and they expand. I teach my own people, I have to teach it 10 times. What is this? I got a solution. So look at someone says here, if you lack wisdom, ask God. How many of us here think that we have a wisdom problem? Oh, you mind me? I don't know if you think they have a wisdom problem. Yeah, we all do. Let me go and say, sometimes what solves your arithmetics can't solve board mass. What solved arithmetic can't solve accounting. Please, they are all figures. But I hope you are understanding me. Sometimes I don't get accountants. You are calculating, it's not balancing. The money missing is 1 city. Take 1 city and add. You have to trace the 1 city. That is why they are called accountants. Me, I'm a mathematician. If one is missing, please, how many of you agree with me? If you don't like math at all, just add the 1 CD and let's go to the bank. But the accountant wants to trace where did the 1 CD pass, because it can lead to jail. If I don't 1 CD plus 1 CD plus 1 CD, 1 CD will end up becoming 100 CDs. If it continues like that, very soon the person can sell 1, the person can move to 5, the person can move to 10. So let me solve it before it escalates. But me, just add 1 CD and let's go. Why is the person aggressive on that area and you don't get it? Because he has received more wisdom ahead of arithmetic. Now, in the area of we did normal mathematics. Those who know normal arithmetic and code, that use it to measuring height, weight, and co. They will not lose track of it, because one little unbalanced weight can bring everything down. To you, wait, yeah, like local mechanics. And yes, young fan is an afakobra, or the fakobra. Can't actually say or say fakobra. By the time you bring your car, the whole system under the car is broken down. You're going to spend more money. Can we tow? How much? 400. Tow is too expensive. I won't tow. Let's move like that. Don't worry. By the time you come like that, you realize they are spending 2,500. If you have towed with 400, please, I'm not even understand what I'm saying here. Because we don't understand the balances and the imbalances of life, because there's a certain level of life where you must tell God a lot. Yes, I had wisdom yesterday, but in this particular case, I think I lack wisdom. Yes, because Jesus increased in wisdom. There is nothing wrong in increasing in your wisdom. Are you here? You are not here at all. One day, Pastor Henry is here. Please don't get up. They were doing a setup here, and somebody said, let's put this here. And I said, no, you can't put it there. And they were very angry. I don't like them. You see, I'm a general overseer. I think for media, I think for choir, I think for everybody. You being in charge of, let's say, media, all you think about is media. So we have cases where the camera will say, let them move so that I can take pictures. I said, no. Take your pictures without them moving. And yet, I said that you are not a professional. This, are you with me? So when I called Pastor Henry, I said, here. We are fixing TV. I think, is it this TV was out? Something like that. They're busy fixing it. And I told the people who were fixing that, turn it this way. They're not hearing me. So I told Henry, come. I said, sit on my chair. Sit on my chair. When he sat, I said, tell me, what do you see? He said, they must shift it this way, shift it. I said, now go and do it. So later he called me and said, why did you let me sit on my chair? I said, until you sit on my chair, you won't see what I see. Yeah. Let me tell you this. If you've not been a thief before, you can't think like a thief. So I come around and say, why is this cutlass here? Why is this speakers here? And say, we'll remove it later. I said, remove it now. And people, you see, you've not been robbed before. This speaker is a tool. So I'll remove it later. The one person, I see, okay, so there's a speakers in this house. When I'm coming, I won't come with one. You don't think like one. So when somebody is telling you remove it now, you think that this person you want me, we will take it in the evening. When you are poor, you want everybody to see that you have money. When you are wise and you have money, you don't want anybody to know, because you know people knowing is in itself taking devaluation. People know you have money is devaluation. When people know, your family members know they have money, everybody will come to you. Or is it true? It's not true. Or it's not true. So look at something. If you lack wisdom, you ask God. I didn't hear you. And he said he gives to give me NLT. Amazing. He gives to men freely. And he doesn't discriminate. In other words, if even that poor man went to ask God for wisdom, God will give it to him. He will not discriminate. But has that poor man applied that wisdom to his life? And then an opportunity will come. Let's read it. If you need wisdom, ask our generous God and will give it to you. He will not rebuke you for asking. God, how do I solve this problem? How do I pay this rent? How do I build my own house? Lord God, how do I serve you better? A lot of the times, what he will tell you, you will not like. Because wisdom is not cheap. Wisdom, like education, is not cheap. Education is not cheap. But wisdom is higher than education. Because after education, education is information. Information is not wisdom. You have been informed. Amen? That is what information, that's what we call knowledge. Now, that information must lead to understanding. I realize this in the ministry. The people that you teach, and you ask them, do you have any question? And they keep asking questions. They pass. The people that you ask, do you have any question? And they assume they understand, they fail. When you were in class, did you notice this in school? I don't know why you noticed this. There's a lecture going on, and the teacher, who asks a question? The people will ask questions. And you are angry. But have you realized that most people who ask questions, they always pass? Is it true or it's not true? Those who always ask the teacher, did you mean A, B, C, or did they always pass? And there are people who the teacher teach. Wait, and one of the signs of a man who increases in wisdom is that no matter what they know, they ask questions. People who don't ask questions have the spirit of pride and are also proud. Look at somebody and say, how do you solve this problem? Some of you, if you were to ask God, how do I solve this problem of not getting married? He will tell you to change your dress code. Because the kind of man you want and the kind of way you dress, you will never be attractive. Can we move on? Amen. So now the question is, can one be wise without understanding? Give me 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 11. Please, am I teaching you well? God bless you. 13:11. The difference between a matured and unmatured. 13:11. The difference between a matured and unmatured. Unmature people speak before they think. Mature people do this. Let's read. When I was a child, number one, I spoke and taught and reasoned as a child. When I grew up, what? I put away what? Childish things. So a child speaks before thinking and before understanding. Give me the King James. I love you. Did you think about it first? Did you understand it? Or it was an emotion? See, when I was a child, number one, spoke, number two, understood, and then just taught. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. What is a sign that you have put away childish? You think, then you understand, then you speak. Say, I must think first. I understand, and I speak. Do you know why God doesn't change his mind? Because before God speaks, he has thought about it, he understands it, and he's speaking. So you better have an argument. And anybody who ever changed God's mind came with an argument, didn't come with prayer. Should I give you 2 examples of people who changed God's mind? Not by prayer. God, Exodus 32, God will tell Moses, I'm going to destroy all these people, and I'll finish them. I only need you. Then Moses will go to God. Legal. You made a covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They have done nothing to you. Now, if even you destroy these people and you kill them here, when the Egyptians hear it, they say that you are poor God. You only brought them, you started life with them to leave them in the middle, kill them, and then you say you are God. Let them enter the promised land, then you can do anything. Is that a prayer or is an argument? It's law. Oh, please, are you here with me? I'm going to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. Abraham said, can you destroy the righteous with the unrighteous? Can we talk about it? Because you don't change things by talking. You change things by wisdom and stature. Mentality. Oh, hello? You are not here at all. Am I teaching something here at all? Oh, the about team behind the And one of the most funny things in life is to argue with a fool. Especially the one who is proud, who doesn't have anything. And you see, the poor wise man said, they forsook him because see, life is such that no matter how wise you are, if it doesn't help you, people will never value you. People will only value your teaching because what you teach has helped you. That's why sometimes when I'm preaching, give my personal example. Not that there's no Paul or all these people in the Bible, but I give my personal example. Because if you have been able to do it before, then you can do it for me. Hello? Oh, I didn't hear you. Now, a lot of us must go back to the Holy One. Proverbs 9:10 again. To what? Give me the King James. To get understanding. Because you don't even understand what God is saying to you. Oh Lord, you told me to do A, B, C, and D. How do I solve it? How do I do it? Look at the Bible. All the people that God called, and they said, Lord, I don't know what to do. God used them mightily. Those that God called and they went on going, they ended up failing. Solomon wanted to be king. Gitty. Look at this end. Hello? I can't hear you. Hello? So I've realized this thing in life. Most of you can see that Saul is on the throne. But he has stopped communicating with the Holy One. And David is not on the throne, but he's the one who is communicating with the Holy One. And very soon, David is on the seat. Vashti is on the throne as the king's wife. The king says, stop your party. Stop your party. I'm doing party. You come and dance for my party. And this woman says that, which I'm doing party. He loses the throne. Years ago, I think 3-4 years back, when we invited the first lady of Lighthouse here, Lady Reverend Adelaide Hayward Mills. We spoke everything. And I'm even surprised because I met her on Christmas Day. That very day, an appointment was, and it doesn't work like that. But that's another story for another day. And she called me and said, her aide called me and said, she said we should tell you that don't do posters. Don't do billboards. Because we heard that you like doing big billboards. And I'm like, oh, why? Then she was like, I don't want to go and spend money and you invite me. And I'm preaching. And my husband will say, come. And I can't come. Because me, if I'm preaching for you, and my husband says, stop and come, I will come. I'll leave the preaching. Because my first duty is not to anybody. My first duty is to my husband. I said, Eradi, no wonder this church is going like that. By the grace of God, she came. She said she would do 1 day or 2 days. She did 1 week. But we did the posters. We did the billboards. But she did. And I had to sit with her and find out what is it said. And she was like, hear me. Sometimes like God, right? God will give Adam and Eve everything. And yet God will want you to visit him. The problem with man is that God gives us everything and we don't need to sit under his feet again. I think you're not hearing me. But God wants to give you so much in abundance. But when he says, leave it, you leave it. So the test of generational blessing is the sitting under the feet of the Holy One, which is God. So Abraham will struggle to run a business. It will come to pass. Will struggle to have a son to come to pass. And will struggle to have this to come to pass. And God will come to Abraham and say, should I think you struggle to make it? Can I have it? God, do you mean, can I give you Ishmael? No, I don't want Ishmael. I want the one that is dear to you. Abraham takes his son. He's about to kill the son. God said, don't take me there. But for the reference, Genesis 22. I now know your heart. Then God said, I swear by myself. In blessing, I'll bless you. Wait a minute, oh. God, you say you blessed him. Yes, there's blessing. And there's I swear. What is the difference? If I can still have what I gave you when I need you, there's nothing I won't give you. You know what? Many people go to people for what they want. And after they get what they want, they don't need them again. Have you seen people who only call you when they need you? Your number only pops up. That's how we treat God. Oh, God. The fear of the Lord, the reverence of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. And the knowledge of the Holy One is understanding. In other words, knowing how God behaves is the beginning of understanding. The knowledge of the Holy One. Many have acquired wisdom for things, but not the knowledge of the Holy One. Look, I've seen men of God die. But something you are going to lay hands. When you are going, the Lord will tell you today, lay hands on everybody. One person will come to the congregation, the Lord said, blow air. He said, but you told me to lay hands, I'll lay hands. You are a man from God. You are not a man of God. He's saying, this is what I want you to do now. One day, I told everybody, I'm going to do this. Let me tell you this. Let me be frank with you. I have this fellowship. I had one in Abosok. I had one in Ebri. Building one in Kumasi. One in Koforidia. One in Abosok. Then the main one was at Atlanta. Just fellowships. I told all of them that the Lord has never spoken to me to start a church. It's fellowship. One day, the Lord said, you are starting a church. I told God, but I've told these people that you told me I will never start a church. He said, I told you to start fellowship. You went to add, I will never start a church. He said, but if I go and I go and tell them they'll despise me. You know what God told me? Is it the people you are worried about or me? This I'm saying, Pastor Victor is witness. All of the people here, I think Pastor Victor is the only witness here. So I called all my leaders then. And I said, please, this is what God has told me. All of you can have your life and do what you want to do. I'm even moving from Asalam down. I'm moving to Bawe, Malam. 2000, that place was a total off place to see what God will do for me. Well, the people who stayed are Pastor David, Pastor Victor, my wife, and Pastor Ernest, who are still with me. The rest, they said, God bless you. Bye-bye. You've done well. But today, by the grace of God, I thank God I obeyed God. And can I tell you this? All of them still consult me for direction. Recently, I sent a message back. Said, stop appearing in my dream. I'm sure he's even watching. Stop appearing in my dream. He said, I can't stop watching you to get more wisdom. And one of them was in a church. His spiritual father had a problem with him. And he was leaving the place. I got to know. The spiritual father David for me. I just picked a phone and said, how are you? He said, fine. I said, you are not leaving. You are staying there. He said, how did you know? I said, I had the information around. Stay put. Recently, he came to me with that, his bishop from abroad. I was like, thank you for making me stay. The truth is that God will always ask you for what he gave you because it wasn't yours in the first place. When you keep it, it's a sign that it was yours. And if it's a sign that it was yours, then he doesn't need to increase you. Know what you do? You start doing wala tu, wala sa. You will begin to struggle to get results because you are lacking wisdom. Because it's God. If anybody, if anyone, not Christians, lack wisdom, it takes a lot of reverence, value for God. And let me tell you this, in this dispensation of opportunities opening, in this dispensation of new dimensions opening, one major prayer we need to go to God for is, God, what wisdom do I need to solve this problem? Some problems will come in your life. It looks like the old one that has come. But please, this one is not the same old one. This one is weird. It is not every cold that is cold. Some are covered. It's not every flu. There are flu and there are flu. Please, are you with me? There are sore and there are sore. There are some sores that are cancerous. It is both internal and external. Hello? Ahab was on the throne, but Elijah was controlling the economy of the nation because Elijah spends time with God. So one day his predecessor Elisha will come and say, tomorrow by this time, a bag of rice, a bag of cement, we sold for 50 pesos. And the finance minister will say that if even God comes down to become the finance minister or the president of Ghana, it will not work. And the man will say, I don't need God to come, me myself, it will happen. And the following day, it does happen. Because people who spend time with God, they bring things from eternity into time. What could have happened 10, 20 years, they can bring it into now. You can decide to labor or to be favored. So the Bible says Jesus Christ increased. Now let me give you this first. It is vain to rise up early, sit up late, and to eat the bread of sorrow. He keeps his beloved sleep. Now, so Jesus Christ increased in wisdom, in stature, and then what? In favor with God and man. Say, in favor with God and man. There is no way you increase in wisdom and stature and not have favor with God and man. What is favor with God? God approves of you. What is favor of man? Man approves of you. What did this poor wise man lack? He lacked the favor of men because he was not able to bring the wisdom to stature. And secondly, says, I'll go deeper and I'll teach this thing that, listen, anything you have in your mind that you can't write, you can't have. Anything you have in your mind that you can't draw, you can't have. The thing must leave your mentality and become reality. John 1:5. And the word became flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld it. Until that thing can be spelled, you can't work it. And let me tell you this. We can pretend that we are applying, but when the fundamentals are weak, the dollar will expose you. When trouble comes, your reaction and the result you give will come to show that all along you are not wise after all. Let me end on this. So you can have Pharaoh on the throne and Joseph was controlling affairs. And the Bible said there came a new king in Israel, Exodus chapter 1, who did not know the God of Joseph. So he put the Egyptians, the Jews under bondage. Why? Because no single Jew was wise. So all the Jews, and the Bible said the Jews were many than the Egyptians. And the Egyptians were afraid of them, that if they come together, they will finish them and take over their nation. So they said the only thing we can do to them is that let us keep them in bondage. How many of you have read my status? Yesterday I said something. Until you learn how to fly, you will never know you are in a cage. You didn't hear me? No, you didn't hear me. I said until you learn how to fly, you will never know you are in a cage. The bird who decides to fly will know that he's limited. When you decide to just walk around in life, you think that is where the world is. Until you learn how to fly, you will never know you are in a cage. So it will take Moses to leave Egypt and go outside and see freedom and come back and tell Pharaoh, let my people go, because he flew out of the cage. Many of us are happy with our status quo. So when even we are telling you fly, me fly, I'm okay with my wisdom. At least I walk around. I would love to have a pet. How many of you have done bird petting before? This dove, whatever. The nice thing about them is that they will go and they will come. They know when to come. They know when to go. But there are certain ingredients that must be there for them to come. So they asked the late Archbishop Benson Dahosa, everybody is leaving our church and they coming to your church. You are doing them juju. He said, no, I grow grass. Say, I grow grass. What does it mean by he grows grass? I grow grass simply means the sheep always will go where the grass is green. The sheep doesn't go. It's only cows that go where the grass is brown. But God said we should look for sheep. And sheep only goes where the grass is green. And where the grass is green, somebody's always watering it. And that is increasing in wisdom. If you are not increasing, the favor of men around you will depreciate. We know what he's going to say. We know what he's going to say. Anybody who has read my book, Palace Protocol, and heard me teach on Luke 2:52 will tell you this one I'm teaching, I've never taught it before. It's the same Luke 2:52. Because I'm saying learn to increase. So at the end of the day, because we don't ask for wisdom to increase, sometimes Rahab the harlot, sometimes Ruth the Moabite, please, are you here with me? The people who ask questions, the people who want wisdom, end up controlling those who had the knowledge. Rahab told the two spies, this is knowledge. I have heard about your God. How the Red Sea opened. How your God have done this and that. That is knowledge. He said, that is why I hate you. That is faith. Because knowledge must bring you faith. Knowledge must bring you faith. That will be my next level next week. Knowledge must bring you faith. Anything you have faith in is based on the knowledge you acquired from there. Faith comes by hearing. What she heard about what God has done gave her faith to do what he is doing. That is stature. And out of the stature, he had favor with the spies. And the spies said, this red robe at your doorpost. When we blow the trumpet, you and your family will be saved. She put the scarlet thread at the doorpost or the window. Why? Wisdom must be seen. Faith must be seen. Works must be seen. If she had not put it on the doorpost and said, I have faith, nothing will happen to me, that building would have come down. Look at someone and say, what is eating you up? I didn't hear you. Say, it's a wisdom problem. Which calls for prayer for wisdom. You see, if most of the people who argue with me, even in church, were to take the church into prayer, they will not argue. Because a lot of the time, the wisdom I'm speaking will look foolishness to someone who has not been to prayer. Because there are some who want to see results before they follow. That's a sign you don't have faith. Hello? Then, last week I said this. Your altar will speak. What is your altar? The knowledge you have acquired, the investments you've made, all these things come together. Then you go to God and say, God, based on these things I have, I need you to do this. So a prophet will come and tell the king Hezekiah that you have sounded, you've gone to the heavens, you've calculated your life and your destiny. This pompo or the balls that have come on you, you are going to die. This pompo will kill you. God has seen it. It is written that you will die out of this pompo. This guy didn't argue with the prophet. Why? The prophet only came to give information. When the prophet was leaving the palace, he just went to God and said, God, I just heard your servant say that, I know you don't change your mind, but can we have a discussion? When I came to your work, I've done A, I've done B, I've done C, I've done D, I've done E, I've done F. For which of these must I die? That's an altar speaking. Before the prophet will leave and come, leave out, the king is there again. The messenger comes and says, God says, I should tell you that he's added how many more years? How many? 50 more years to your life. But go and get fig leaves and put it on the well. So all along, all I needed was fig leaves. Oh God! All along, I needed to put fig leaves on my boil and I'll leave. And I was there and I was waiting to die. Oh, you are not here at all? Oh, please, are you here? You are not here. Now, what is ailing you? What is eating you up? You need to go to God. God, give me solution. Lord, I look to you. I won't be overwhelmed. Give me wisdom to know just what to do. Lord, I look to you. You are where my help comes from. Give me wisdom to know just what to do. Again, God, I look to you. I won't be overwhelmed. Give me vision to see things like you do. Second step, Lord, I look to you. Oh, my help comes from. I did this one for this morning. Give me wisdom to know just what to do. Now, Lord, I look to you. When you're overwhelmed, I won't be overwhelmed. Give me vision to see things like you do, and I will love you, Lord, my strength. I will love you, Lord, my shield. I will love you, Lord, my rock. ever in all my days. I will love you. I will love you. I will love you, Lord, my strength. I will love you, Lord, my shield. I will love you, Lord, my rock. All my days, I will love. Now tell God, give me wisdom this morning. The end product Hezekiah had was wisdom. Get fig leaves and put it on your sword. Ask for wisdom. I don't know what to do. I've done whatever I need to do. I've said whatever I need to say. I've given what I can give. What do you want me to do again, Lord? What is the lesson that I need to learn out of this case? What do you want to teach me out of this problem I keep encountering? Lord, if you keep bringing it my way, then you want me to learn something. If you keep allowing this same trouble to come my way, then there's something that you want me to learn from. The last time I prayed, I came out. I prayed again, I came out. Yes, but what did you learn out of it? That knowledge, if you apply it, that problem will give you respect. Many Christians can quote all the scriptures, but are so poor.